Yeah, I'm going to throw something at you, and I want to see your opinion on it. So from pre-pandemic, I don't know, call it the start of 2020 till the end of December of 2021,
Mm-hmm.
we effectively grew like 29%.
Yep.
And now we're still about another 9% this year over last year, or maybe about 6.5. So it means in order to get to pre-pandemic levels, we would have to fall upwards of 35% from today's values, maybe even more.
Okay. So
Do you think?
yeah, I do.
Whoa!
Two things. So
No, not
yeah,
happening.
it's happening.
No, it's not, dude. No,
So
that would be a crisis
let
of
me
unprecedented
explain
extreme.
myself.
You're wrong. Okay.
So
Cheapers.
two things.
Okay.
Aren't we up more than 29% since the start of the pandemic to the end of 2021? Or is that what it came out to be?
It was about that.
Okay, so
30%.
30% over the 2 years. That's yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Over 22 months, basically.
Yeah.
And then it continued to go up into this year.
Those psycho 4 months that we had.
And then it's pulling back from there, right? So it's maybe 29 to 32% during the course of the pandemic, depending on your measure and whatever. And yeah.
So first item that I want to go over is, let's say the average was 100 grand and it went up by the 40%. It's 140K. If it drops 40%, that's actually dropping by 56,000. So it goes down to $84,000, not 100,000. So the percentage on the drop side are actually worth more because you're multiplying it by a larger value.
I understand how math works, yeah.
But
No, but you raise a really good point.
But it plays into a factor.
But doesn't that make it less likely that it's going to give back the same percentage?
Well, I'm just saying like, when you see those drops that they have more weight, like just add like almost a 10 or 20% weight on those drops that you see relative to the old growth. But that's not like meaning anything. That's not what this is. Not just about stats. It's about what's actually going to happen. So I think that it's going to continue to go down, and I've said it a bunch of times. And the simple reason being is there is a bunch of money that went out there. A bunch of people got it and they spent it. It forced prices up. We now have this inflationary pricing that's not just going to come down overnight because it trickled through the whole line. It's not like we just had like a temporary bump in pricing. It was across the board and everything. And so everyone can agree with that. They're facing with everything that they're experiencing. If you look at when oil, even now, so now things are, say people are like, oh, we got under control with interest rates and this and that. Yeah, well, the biggest indicator that moved there was the gas price, which can kind of artificially be manipulated. And if you look at when oil was at this price per barrel last time, the price of gas was not at this price at the pump. So they're still gouging and they're going to continue to do so. Let me finish. Then you have your interest rates on everything that you've bought, any lines of credits that you have. All those items are now going to cost more. It's going to be more difficult to get them. But people who already have them, which most people already have, like that's why we had this crazy consumer spending, they're going to be stuck with those things and they have to pay those things off. And then the last item being is unemployment. As these big companies start seeing things dry up and they start incurring more cost of money and they start having issues to get product off the line, unemployment follows. Like it's a compounding effect. And I feel like the snowball has fallen off the side of the mountain and it's starting to roll down now. The drops that we've seen right now aren't actual. I don't think what we've seen right now is sentiment.
Here's
I think we're going to see the pre-approvals that are people aren't going to be able to buy coming up. People are losing their jobs coming up. People actually not being able to spend the money because they don't have it anymore coming up. Like I think that's to come. And I think that's going to hit harder than the sentiment drop of 10%. I think it's going to be like a proper 25%.
So this is officially the doom and gloom episode. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Here's why you're wrong. I agree that there is going to be more drop to come. I agree with that, and I think it just only makes sense intuitively. The scenario you're describing, tell me, in that world, how do we build a single new home? I don't mean how do we build the homes we need, which is I don't know how many 20,000 homes, whatever. I mean, how do we build a single home and sell it if resale prices are down 30% or 40% as you've been? How is that possible? How do we then justify single new build construction house?
Well, we don't, and
we don't. Okay, so inventory doesn't increase. And,
not much,
and people,
at a very much slower pace than we need.
Okay, and assuming the majority of people have a small amount of equity in the property, the most susceptible people to this pullback and to this pinch that you're talking about have, let's be generous and call it 10% equity in their home when they buy. Now they have minus 30% equity. How are they going to sell?
This is okay. So here's the thing. a lot of people aren't going to sell. And I
Okay,
think
so now we
inventory
have-
is going to remain low.
So now we have no new construction. That's not inventory low. That's inventory. Like already we've
but
had
I'm saying
we've
the
had
ones that
moderate
do
changes.
the ones that do have to sell, the houses that do sell will sell at a big discount.
We've had moderate changes in price valuations, and our inventory is down 20%, almost 20%. You're talking about a 40% reduction. There will effectively be no homes for sale.
I think 25 total.
Okay, so there will be no homes for sale, no homes being built new, and we're still bringing people in. At some point, the home you're referring to that's going to come on the market, all right, there's going to be someone like, listen, I can't pay the bills. I got to put it on the market. There's going to be such demand for that property, it is going to prop it back up. There's just no way.
But how's there going to be so much demand when the rates are high, people don't have jobs, they're getting beat up all over the place, they're seeing layoffs taking place all over.
So there's going to be
what are they going to do?
There's going to be no house for sale. And you're telling me there's going to be no one with jobs that when a house comes for
I'm not
sale,
saying no
people
one with
might buy
jobs,
it.
but it's the same thing. It's like I think there's going to be houses that are going to get built. I agree that it's not going to be as bad. I think the states are going to get beat to shit because they build so much inventory so quick, and I think that's our saving grace. And I say that all the time is that
and people
Canada
in the States
weathers
can move around really easily. Here, people do not move around nearly as easily as the states.
Exactly, and I think we are much stronger in our housing market in the sense that basically by the fact that we have no inventory, it forces the value to remain. But I still believe that there's going to be people that have to sell that are going to cause it to go down. And I think just transactional volume is going to really dry up. I think that's what's going to take place. I think people are going to need places to live, and there's going to be a lot of people renting houses, a lot of people renting units. But I think it's a mindset where people, if they're seeing like shit, like I know a friend that's selling at a loss, or I know everyone cuts off on the buying, even when it feels like a good deal. If you know that it's going to go, if you think it's going to go down, or in your head you've been watching it go down for the last 6 months, then you don't buy. It's similar to the people that were buying when it was going up. They're like, man, I saw the last 2 years of it going up. This price seems out of this world, but it just keeps going up, so I'm gonna buy.
I hear what you're saying.
It doesn't always make sense. Like it's just like it's a simple thing of like there's houses and properties that sell on market and they sit on MLS for 40 days and then they sell and people reflip them 6 months later and sell them for 200 grand more, or they buy a piece of land that like no one's paying attention to and you buy it for 100 grand and 2 months later it's worth $5 million and you're like, why did no one buy that? But the general sentiment in the market is a certain thing.
So what you're saying basically is that demand is shifting to the left, right? But supply is also going to contract big time. And that's going to equal out to that's going to be, you see that like a little pen? I can't do this backwards because they're opposite way to me.
Just for you guys listening, Chandler's using pens.
I tried to do some pens. But I just feel like the scenario you're describing doesn't take into account the fact that there's going to be no supply because no one will be selling it.
You know what I think it's really dependent on? The immigration numbers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because if they cut off immigration, then I really think it's going to take a beating. If they keep pumping people in here, then that logic works that it's going to keep getting worse because supply is not going to contract more because they're still going to keep building stuff slowly. So supply is going to continue to grow, but is it slower than the amount of people that are showing up here?
So what's going to be really interesting is what's going to happen is we're going to have a conservative federal government, most likely next. That's not me wishing something into existence. That's kind of what I genuinely believe to be true, which will hopefully maintain some lower pricing in the oil market here. Yep. That is my real wish, and I think there is going to be such a desperation for.
You buying a lot of oil? Neither here nor there.
No, but like I do feel like the oil is going to start flowing a little better here, and hopefully there's a bigger push towards transporting oil and refining oil here, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's going to happen. But interestingly, the Conservatives tend to have a slower stance on migration. So we'll see how those things kind of counteract one another. Because the only way inflation is going to get at all under control is to somehow keep oil low.
Cut immigration. I can see it. The only they need to pump a shitload of oil into the system. They need to start getting way more production going on.
Drill.
And then come up with incentives to build a shitload of homes and apartments.
Yeah, the problem is like those incentives to build those homes and apartments are kind of like a way of printing money, and I don't know. That's inflationary pressure, man. So I agree. There's going to be more pullback. It's going to be significant. I don't think it's going to be as significant as you're talking about. Also, if we look at these markets, it speaks to the fact that every market is not the same, and we have this obsession about what's going on in Toronto and what's going on in Vancouver, and then you look within Toronto and the GTA, and you realize even that can be skewed one direction to another. So I personally feel pretty good about Halifax. That's again, that's the market we know best, but there's a lot of underlying reasons why I feel strongly about Halifax, starting with the fact that even this job loss, it rarely comes in the public sector, especially during economic downturns, because, you know, politicians are trying to get reelected. They're not going to do these mass layoffs, and those are all collectively negotiated anyway, and all these things. So I feel good about our resiliency here in Halifax. And we're also, you know, more affordable compared to some other places in the country. But
Chandler's trying to keep his buyer clients.
That is a real that is a real thorough breakdown of these most recent numbers. There's a lot of moving parts here. We're still up year over year, but that gap is really, really shrinking. I think we're going to give back most of the gains from the last 12 months by the end of this December. You know, and that'll vary region by region, because like I said, we in Halifax, we're still up quite a bit.
When I was broke, I had rich habits. When I was broke, I had rich habits.